Hello and welcome back to 2014's Top Gear. I say that because for 20 points this week you can go ahead and grab yourself the Koenigsegg CCX. Yes, that is the one the stick crashed. This thing has got itself a whopping 806 horsepower with 678 foot-pounds of torque while weighing just under 3,000 pounds with a 4.71 litre engine. It's a very interesting car, and it also has been around since the days of Forza Horizon 4, and it does look pretty cool. And at the back it looks pretty much like every Koenigsegg to ever exist. Going to the inside, it's got the interior that reminds you a bit more of the CC8S, and a really weird bug, because just take a look at the steering wheel ahead of me very quickly. When you change gear, yeah, your hand phases through the wheel. I'm sure that's perfectly normal Koenigsegg behaviour, nothing weird to see, you know, completely fine. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a listen to this thing, shall we? Alrighty, here we are now over at the upgrade shop, so we're going to jump straight to conversion and over to engine swaps to see what we've got. We've got ourselves a racing V12 or the 5.1 litre V8 twin turbo with 1,341 brake horsepower from stock. You can also go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive should you wish to, which immediately takes the launch straight up to a 10, and we're definitely going to come back and revisit that in just a little bit. Going to the aero and appearance, we've got some lovely Forza aero for the front that nobody ever really cares about, and we have got the Forza wing for the back because it has been over 10 years of Forza games and we still have the same wing, yes, even in Motorsport 8. Built from the ground up, my foot. However, in the meantime, we've got ourselves a tune made by Big Macintosh 762, and if you want to go ahead and download that, then don't you worry, here is the share code for it as well. But we're going to go ahead and run that on the car for this first race, so let's go ahead and do that. However, just before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at the paints. We have got nothing in advance like normal, and we have a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4 different colours for this thing, which is a lot less than last week, but it's still better than just one. So taking a look at the car mastery for this, we've got a little bit of a credits boost, we've got a Forza Thumb points boost, we also have a wheel spin available, more Forza Thumb points, and also a little bit of XP boosting as well. So yeah, it is true, the Stig tried taking this thing around the Top Gear test track way back in, I believe it was Series 8, misjudged from the corners and went absolutely flying off into one of the barriers. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen to us today. But in the meantime, this is of course the CCX. There is also, I believe, the CCXR, the CCGT, which I think was after this thing? I'm not too sure on that one. I don't know my Koenigsegg's particularly well, but I do know they look pretty cool. And away we go. We're up against a whole bunch of other hypercars here in S1, and our goal is to be out on top by the end of this race. I don't know how well we're going to do, because apparently this tune's been completely untested as well, which is going to be even more interesting. Over at the back there in the white, there is a Lycan Hypersport, which will be coming to the channel on Monday, so definitely feel free to stick around and check that one out. But in the meantime, we're going ahead and trying to see if we can get past here. I think that's another CCX that we pass. Not too sure on that one, but let's go ahead and grab another spot from the Lamborghini up into third already, and we've only got through 30% so far. So I said earlier, go ahead and download the tune, but after a bit of testing, it is genuinely actually really worth downloading, because in the time it's taken me to say that sentence, we've got ourselves up into first place, so, you know, life's pretty good. Now, a pretty fun fact about these, including the CCXR as well as the CCX and various other submodels, there are only 49 of these ever made between 2006 and 2010. So these are a very rare car indeed, and that's assuming all of them are still on the road, because it has of course been quite a long time, over 10 years since the last one of these was ever built. So if that number's still at 49, I'll be very surprised indeed. Okay, 95%, one more turn to go with a little bit of distance between us and everybody else, and that is a first place across the line. But what do we get for our time? What's our time? It is 1 minute 53. Alright, here we are now back over at the upgrade shop, so we're jumping straight to conversion and we're going over to the 5.1 litre V8 twin turbo, which I think might be the CC8 engine, I'm not too sure. We're making this thing all-wheel drive because we're making it a bit of a drag build. I know, a drag build from a hypercar is kind of sacrilege nowadays, but we're doing it anyway. So here we are now with the finished drag build. We are sat at 2,751 pounds with 1,341 horsepower. This is going to be interesting. And judging by the power figures, absolutely mental. But like always, the first thing I've got to do is sit down and tune this thing, so I'll be right back. Okay, here we are now over at the edge of the festival, so let's go ahead and get a little bit of a... There's no wheelie check in sight. Okay, here we are now over at the drag strip, so let's go ahead and go. Let's see what we can get out of this thing. 1,341 brake horsepower, under 3,000 pounds. Let's go ahead and see. Hopefully it's going to be something pretty good. I'm aiming for 200, and there it is, 212 through the camera, and off the end of the drag strip we go off at 238. That's actually pretty good for one of these, but the one thing it needs is definitely more gears. Okay, so the first thing we're doing is definitely going ahead and just changing out that transmission. We're going to go back to the stock 6-speed for this thing with its all-wheel drive mode, and well, I think that's nearly about all we have to do. Just change over the tyres and the suspension as well. Now, while this thing is saving, here's a couple of fun facts. Originally from the manufacturer, this thing would have cost you a whopping 700,000 US dollar. I'm not too sure what that is in pound sterling, but I know it's very expensive. And going back to the numbers of cars made being 49 earlier, apparently only 8 of those are currently legal on US soil. I don't know about Britain, but I'm sure that number is probably going to end up being even lower. In the meantime, here's this week's Forza shop. We have got the Jaguar C-Type, which will be really good for this week's weekly challenge, which will be out on Sunday, the Toyota race suit, and the Cat Meow car horn, which sounds a bit like this. Interesting. Cool. We've also got the Horizon Super Wheelspin. We've also got the Porsche Desert Flyer and the regular Horizon Wheelspin. Okay, out to the motorway we go. Alrighty, here we are now over at the edge of the motorway, so let's go ahead and get ourselves on launch control, and away we go. Let's go ahead and see what we get for this thing's top speed through the speed zone, through the speed camera, and of course the downhill as well. So let's get going. And let's also try and not turn into Series 8's Top Gear. And out we go at 272.07 miles an hour, which is actually pretty speedy indeed, but we still have the speed camera and the downhill to go, so let's keep going. And through the camera we go, 275.68, and going downhill 277, 278. Do we get any more? Nope, just 278, which given this thing is from 2006 with a stupid amount of power in it now, that's actually pretty decent indeed. But we're not done quite yet, because like usual we're taking this thing drifting, so let's go ahead, rip the handbrake and try and throw this in sideways and see what we get. Obviously we've got a lot of power, but we also do have a lot of grip as well, so let's go ahead and see. We get 39,632 on the first attempt, so now let's go ahead and get everything ready and go back for round number 2. Alrighty, round number 2, into the drift zone we go. Let's go ahead and get it sideways. Let's try and not hit the bridge, please. Never mind. Let's try and reinitiate drift and get out the other side at 32,921. Again, not too bad, but not too great either. Then again, this thing wasn't exactly designed to drift. Anyway, that is it for the Koenigsegg CCX. A very, very interesting car and definitely one worth getting. Again, like always, feel free to stick around till next week because we've got the Lycan Hypersports video coming on Monday and also the weekly guide coming up this weekend for all of you who need it. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, tech out. See ya. If only I could make this thing quicker.